Hello, welcome to Autocar. If I asked you what the best Grand Tourer on sale was, might you say it's the new Aston Martin Vanquish? Might you even say it's the even newer Ferrari 12Cilindri? They're both two-seaters, they both have stonking V12 engines, and they both cost many hundreds of thousands of pounds. But only one of them is the best Grand Tourer you can buy. Question is, which one? So welcome to the inside of the Aston Martin Vanquish. That noise you can hear is that mighty V12. We'll come on to that in a little while, but first let me talk you through the interior of this car. You may see a difference in exterior lighting quality from yesterday, but it does give this really gorgeous, the crappy weather. It does give a lovely soft light into this cabin. I've got a really pleasing seat, actually. I like it very much. The driving position is straight. I feel quite ensconced in a car which has got a high scuttle, a high window line. That leaves a sort of very shallow letterbox view out, which is quite evocative, but I can't really see any of the bonnet. I'm sitting quite low. I don't have loads of headroom. I'll show you a clip of Sergio, our videographer, who is about 6'4", sitting in this same seat as low as it'll go, and his head's basically touching the ceiling. Jeremy Clarkson wrote in the Sunday Times the other day that Aston Martin was disinclined to lend him a car to test recently. He is a tall man. I wonder if that is something to do with it. They just thought, we better not put massive people in these cars, because you know what they'll write? We don't fit. This is not the world's most accommodating interior, but it is comfortable. The material quality is really nice. It's got this big wide touchscreen, but also loads of physical buttons, including, and I really love these rolling knurled temperature, volume and fan speed buttons. Got this big chunky steering wheel. The paddles for the gearbox move with the wheel. There is a reasonable amount of road noise, but this isn't all an aluminium chassis with very big tyres. It's got double glazed windows. Wind noise is really low. The noise that comes through from the cabin is engine noise, it is tyre noise. But you could get yourself settled in here and ready for many, many miles. How does it drive if you're going to do that? Well, I'm in GT mode at the moment. There's a big button, big heavy button on the centre console to put it in sport, which firms up the dampers a little, probably too much on bad pockmarked back roads, but it gives a little bit of extra edge to the steering weight and the engine and gearbox response. This is a GT car. We're on British A roads, so let's leave it in GT mode. The steering is weighty. It is a system with a lot of straight line stability, and as you turn it off straight ahead, it builds up nicely the sort of torque response. It is not a fast rack, it's certainly not an over fast rack. This is a car with a huge top speed, and I would think it would feel incredibly stable at it. Just as you turn it, you feel like you're taking up quite a lot of heft as you turn. A Ferrari is a different kind of car to that, I think we'll find in a moment. Ferraris have quite a light, quite a fast steering rack. Astons have gone back to, and I don't think this was the case necessarily with a generation or two ago, they seem to have taken on an extra meat, an extra heft, an extra ounce of sort of straight line stability to their steering that I think maybe an Aston from 7 or 8 years ago did not have. Those also had a slight sort of deftness, fleetness of foot that this car doesn't. This is a near 2-ton car as we put it on our scales, fully fueled but otherwise empty. It was 1900 kilos plus. That is an awful lot. About 6-7 years ago, I spent a couple of months in an Aston Vanquish S, and I brought it to Scotland. Had a fantastic drive in it, and that car to me felt sort of, it was lighter overall. I think its steering was a bit lighter. It felt a bit lighter in the nose too, and it rode deftly. Just had a really lovely all-round balance that I think I found preferable to this car right now. Was it as fast? No, it was not. The Aston Martin's engine is the more powerful of these two cars. It's a 5.2 litre V12 supplemented by 2 turbochargers, and it makes 824 horsepower at 6,500 revs. That's a little more than the Ferrari, but perhaps more impressively, it makes 700 and 38 pounds-foot of torque from just 2,500 revs through to 5,000. As we'll see, that's almost 50% more than the Ferrari, but at much lower revs, giving the two cars a different character and a different noise, but a similarly spectacular turn of pace. So on the road, what that means is I'm doing 30 miles an hour in third gear. I'd better make sure we're on a straight piece of road, just over 2,000 RPM. I put my foot down, there's a wee lag for the things to boost, that's it, that's 60. Tiny bit of lag at low revs, and then it just goes and goes, and you are beyond the limit, just like that. If we were to try that in second gear, it won't take all the power in these conditions. There was even less lag and it took even less time. This car has so much power to spare that you can't. The performance cars have been too quick for the road for quite a long time, but this is now on a level that you're not getting anywhere near it. But this is a fine riding, fine steering, fine handling, bombastically fast car. It's a tremendously quick car. And it is a thoroughly enjoyable car. It's really impressive. I am liking it a lot. Am I liking it more than the Ferrari 12Cilindri? Well, these cars are meant to do the same thing effectively. They will go about them in slightly different ways. Let's see exactly how different the way they do things is. Inside then the Ferrari 12Cilindri, which immediately, if you have just come from the Aston, has what feels like a narrower but deeper windscreen with a bigger view out, because it feels like this dash, this scuttle in old-fashioned speak, isn't so high. That gives a view out over the bonnet onto these two little haunches on either side. It's quite an evocative view out. Rear visibility mirrors are not as good. Over-shoulder visibility is not as good either. But I think in either car you while it can be intimidating at first acquaintance, that gets a bit better as time goes on. This interior then, it's got a lower transmission tunnel, it's got more stuff on the touchscreen, so basically all of the HVAC, heating, ventilation controls are on the touchscreen. That is not for the better. Well, there is more to do by the steering wheel, because the indicators and the wipers and the main beam for the headlight is all on it as well. Ferrari does that because it wants these big paddles fixed to the steering column, and I get that. I'm with it. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think they're probably the best around. That brings compromises on the steering wheel, but their thinking is, well, you maybe have some lock applied, but you still want to change gear, so therefore you want the paddle where you left it. I kind of get that, and I'm okay with it. It's a more airy feeling interior. Both of these cars have got a glass roof. The Ferraris, because it follows that shape of the over the rear, sort of three-quarter. That bit is bodywork and that bit is roof. But I really, really like the look of this car from the outside. And there's something, I don't know, quite sort of traditional, quite classic about that in a way. Steering wheel is almost round, but also the steering itself is, one, faster, B, lighter. The Aston's feels very steady on straight ahead, and then it picks up weight as you turn off. This turns off centre much more easily, much more quickly. To say it feels more artificial would be the wrong phrase, certainly. But there is more nervousness about it. Not immediately as you take it up, but just as you go on, it is possible to sometimes take a bit too much or a bit too little and be not quite on its wavelength 100%. On much twistier roads, that is less of a problem. But on roads like this, where there are sort of gentle turns left and right, you do sometimes just have to relax into its mode a bit to develop a flow with it. At least that's how I feel anyway. Your mileage may vary, but that's how I feel. In terms of how it goes down this road, that you don't need to go above 3,000-4,000 revs. But let's, because we shouldn't we? It revs to way over 9,000. I don't think we'll get up to 9,000. even in first gear, even. That is the sound of a 6.5 litre V12 naturally aspirated engine that revs to 9,500 revs, 600 revs more than the old 812 Superfast. While on its way there, it makes 819 horsepower at 9,250 RPM and 500 pounds-feet at a heady 7,250 revs. It's set so far back in the chassis that this car has a 48% front, 52% rear weight bias. It is such a sonorous, smooth engine. It's got enough torque low down that you can, because it's a big engine, that you can just make good progress. But if you really want to enjoy the noise it makes, you could drive it a gear or even two lower than you strictly need to. And what Ferrari has done in third and fourth gears is it's evened out the torque delivery, because it thinks that on an exciting road, when you're on it, in the middle chunk of third and fourth gears is where you would be. And if it let the car make all of its torque at that time available, then it would just be a bit spiky and a bit weird. So it's actually just evened out the torque distribution. It is lovely. The ride control is great. To go from a soft to a firmer damper is a doddle. It's pushing that button on the steering wheel and it backs off the dampers. For most of the time in the UK, you'd want the dampers in their bumpy road setting. This is 100 and something kilograms lighter. I think it's 18, maybe even 17 something, low 1800s. It is much lighter. And also it's also slightly rear weight biased as well. So the engine, actually the engine on both of them is set back behind the front axle line, but because this motor is unencumbered by turbos, I think the engine is that bit lighter. I think the gearbox is at the back as well, and that means that it feels much more front mid-engined than the Aston feels front-engined. The Ferrari has active rear steer. It doesn't seem to make the turning circle any tighter, let's put it that way, but it does seem to calm it down on roads like this. I've driven previous versions of V12 Ferraris, like the F12 and the 812, and to me they feel like you're sitting quite a long way back. There's kind of light steering. I really enjoy them, really like them, by the way, but it feels like the front wheels are a long way away. There's a big engine out there, and I'm just sort of slightly sitting at the back going, oh my goodness, everything's going on, and it's all happening at once. The fact that the SF90 now exists means that this car, the front engine V12, no longer has to be Ferrari's performance benchmark. And that's important because what Ferrari has done with the 12Cilindri is say, okay, we allow it to be more of a GT car. It doesn't have to be the fastest, most extreme, most sporting car Ferrari makes in the standard range, because the SF90 can be that. And that means that they've sort of backed off the character and the aggression of this car so that it's a more rounded, more complete, more enjoyable car when you're doing sensible speeds on nice sweeping roads like this. It's an absolute 100% unbridled joy. Might even be my favourite Ferrari of the moment in the current production range. And traditionally, over the past 10-15 years, that spot has been occupied by the mid-engined supercar, 488, 458, whatever. Now, I'd need to try a 296 again, but for me now, my favourite Ferrari in the current production lineup might well be this one. Which is the best GT car? The Aston is comfortable. And if you had to do an Autobahn drive, its straight line stability is terrific. It makes a good noise, it is cosseting, it is nice. Which is the best, the world's best Grand Tourer right now is the Ferrari 12Cilindri. For a written verdict on why we think that's the case, for a full road test of the Aston Martin Vanquish, which we have done already, we hope to do the 12Cilindri in the not too distant future. You can visit autocar.co.uk, which has the full written verdict, performance figures, braking figures, weights, dimensions. For now, cheerio, see you next time.